So we're filming another video about real estate, and in this video we're talking about what the difference is between Playa del Carmen and Tulum if you're coming to live in the area or you're also looking to invest in the area. And we've talked to Sebastian many times on our videos, and you can go through our YouTube channel and see some of the other really good informative videos. And in this video we're going to talk to some other real estate agents so you can get really good information, so you're really prepared before you even get to the Riviera Maya to know what are some of the differences. So, Sebastian, we want to start by asking you, Tulum and Playa del Carmen, there's a lot of differences, but what basically are the differences in the real estate market?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me again. It's a pleasure for me to speak about Playa del Carmen and Tulum because it's basically two of the cities that I love the most. I live in Playa and I own in Tulum, so that's kind of weird, but that's how it works.
They're kind of sister cities. So.
Yeah, and I travel to Tulum pretty much almost on a daily basis, right? So I've seen the growth of both cities, and there's obviously pros and cons of each one. I would say there's not. I have my personal preference,
which is what?
Well, I live in Playa, there's more services in Playa, there's like bigger supermarket stores, there's more schools, so I have a daughter, so for education and just like infrastructure and daily living, I think it's more comfortable. Investment-wise, though, I invested in Tulum versus Playa. I rent in Playa and I own in Tulum. And that's because the rents in Tulum are able to pay a really good rent in Playa del Carmen, and I still have pocket change. So that has worked for me.
We're here with Alberto. He is also one of the recommended realtors on our website, and we're continuing our conversation about talking about the differences between real estate in Playa del Carmen and in Tulum. So we're going to talk to you. What are some of the differences as far as prices per square foot and real estate between Playa and Tulum?
They're both excellent opportunities. They're both great investment opportunities. They both have good ROIs. Playa, some people have a feeling that it's reached its peak. Honestly, I don't think it's reached its peak. I think Playa has a lot more room to grow. And as far as beachfront property, stuff like that, you're going to be more north or south, going towards Akumal or going towards Puerto Morelos, on that side of the sides of the beaches. But there's still really good opportunities in Playa del Carmen. Tulum is going to have more of a boom on price. In other words, you're going to get opportunities to get in pre-construction pricing, where it'll be a lot less expensive to get in there, and you're going to see more of an increase in price in a year or 2 years. So you actually have more ROI on the investment amount versus Playa will be more on the rental ability, because Playa is just so popular right now worldwide.
And of course, Playa has a lot of pre-sale as well. That's common in the Riviera Maya, but more so in Tulum.
Correct.
And as far as prices per square foot, I mean, it ranges depending on the neighborhoods and the type of properties, but what are some examples?
Let's see, if you want to go to a public or private golf course community, for example, like Playa del Carmen, Playa Car, Phase 2, your ranges are between $1,500 to $2,000 per square meter. Okay. If you venture outside of Playa Car into downtown center, the center area, 20th Street, 20th and 15, 20 and 8, that kind of stuff, you're looking at $3,500 to $4,000 per square meter. They're not going to be as big. They'll be smaller. They're going to be smaller units, but your visibility, your rentability, being close to Fifth Avenue, being close to Mamita's Beach Club, being close to the beach clubs in general, the heart of Playa del Carmen, you're going to be paying more per square meter.
And of course, if you've seen our other videos, Sebastian is a very good numbers guy and really good with facts and details. And he has some really good tools like AirDNA, which is a really good tool, and you have the Plus version, which is accessible to anybody that wants to invest in the area. Of course, it's a little expensive. It's $100 a month.
I think it's a little less, something around that.
So it's a little expensive. But we're going to go to the computer screen now, and we're going to talk about the two markets between Tulum and Playa del Carmen, how many rentals there are, the prices. So let's go to the computer. Okay, so we're on the homepage of Playa del Carmen. Now, can you explain some of the things that are here on AirDNA?
Sure. So first of all, you've got the market grades. You've got 4 different indicators. The first one is rental demand, and if you click on the informational icon, it'll say if you've got high travel demand, it'll give you a high score, right? For revenue growth, if you have an increasing revenue per property, it'll give you a higher score. Seasonality. So if there's low seasonality, then it'll give you a high score, which Playa and Tulum are really good for that. We've got tourists pretty much 365 days a year. And if there's a low regulation on Airbnb and the short-term vacational rental websites, it'll give you a higher score. So it's an A+, which is the highest grade there is on AirDNA, and it's 94 of 100. Okay, that's the score. Then you've got the number of active rentals in Playa del Carmen. Here it'll show you the entire, what they count as Playa del Carmen, the entire map of it.
And of course, this map is really interesting because you have the downtown here. You see it's pretty much all rentals. There's other rentals which really don't really rent out to tourists. Sometimes that's for nationals, but your money is here for the best rentals. And so you have the average daily rate, which gets a little skewed because you have other rentals which are much lower price per night. Needless to say, there's a lot of information on this website, and it's a great tool for investors. We have a separate video just for our readers where we show the complete explanation of this video, and we talk about the differences between Playa del Carmen and Tulum in the real estate market. So we'll put a link to that in our article for this video. And of course, people have seen prices in Playa for years, and a lot of people say, oh, prices haven't gone up that much.
Correct.
But the sizes have gotten smaller for the price.
Exactly.
And sometimes in Playa, they have basically a hotel room for sale.
Yep.
Which is really small, but it's an entry-level investment.
Yep.
Tulum, in general, has more
Much
space.
bigger, much bigger, yes. In Tulum, for example, you've got places here near Aldea Zama that's 171 square meters for $450,000, right? That'd be a penthouse. Versus you can do a first floor ranging between 88 to 98 square meters for $220,000. You know, so you're going to range between $3,500 to $4,300 depending on what floor you want to be on. But you're getting a bigger unit, right? So you might not have less expensive costs, but you're going to have more costs but more square meters, where you don't have that option in Playa anymore. Playa is $150,000 to $200,000. And you're getting a little egg.
And of course, your firm that you work with has been here for over 20 years, and you work both Playa del Carmen and Tulum.
Yep.
How do you see the return on investment for investors?
Well, it depends. If you want to do returning your investment based on a rental property, or returning your investment like flipping, flipping a house and flipping a condo, right? So in Playa, your ROI is stable. It's good 10 to 12%. Okay, on a consistent 10 to 12% return on your investment year on year, versus in Tulum over the past 5 years, I have personally seen customers that have gotten their return on their investment in 5 years. And actually, it's paying for itself in 4 or 5 years, which is not. I don't think it's gonna last forever, but right now it's the trend.
And that's usually what people say. Tulum is much better of an opportunity as far as return on investment. Some people want to live here and not rent out, so then it doesn't matter return on investment. It's just finding a passion of your property that you want to live in.
Correct.
And the differences between the two places. And just a few more differences if you're not familiar with Playa del Carmen and Tulum in detail. What are a couple more differences between the two locations as far as lifestyle and living?
So I would say first big key difference would be the access to the beach. Definitely beach access, right? So in Playa del Carmen, every 2 streets you have a public entrance to the beach, and the entire city is it's parallel to the beach, so you've got the beach is a lot more accessible. You can walk to the beach from pretty much all the condos that you're going to stay that are not over 30th Avenue, I would say. So walkability of the city, it's got the longest pedestrian street in, I think it's all Latin America, which is 5th Avenue. So that's number one. A second one would be the beach density. So you're able to build a lot more hotel rooms, a lot more condos, suites in Playa del Carmen, in the municipality of Solidaridad, whereas Playa del Carmen is located. You've got the Grand Hyatt, you've got larger, bigger hotels, even all-inclusives, like the Hilton in downtown Playa. Where in Tulum, the accessibility to the beach might not be the same as in Playa. You have to either take a bike ride or rent a scooter or a quad and go to the beach. You don't have that walkability to the beach. However, you've got a lower density in the hotel zone. So that hotel zone is protected, and you've got only pretty much like eco-friendly lodges, villas, hotel suites. Those are two major key differences. Also, as part of infrastructure. So Tulum it's an up-and-coming city. I remember a couple of years ago we were just selling the first condo that had an elevator in Tulum, and that was kind of like the big deal. Whereas Playa had a lot more amenities and it had a lot more growth. When I talked about Tulum to clients, they didn't even want to go and see it, you know? And now everyone wants to go to Tulum, everyone wants to check it out. But obviously it has a 15-year-old difference of when it was actually when it started as a city.
Yeah, because Playa was 1993 and 2008 Tulum was incorporated as a city.
Exactly. So that's a 50-year difference.
Or 15.
15 year, my bad. 15-year difference. So you're going to see there's also a 15-year gap of infrastructure. Right?
Yeah, if you're in Tulum, you see a lot of neighborhoods. There's no paved roads. They're still working on sewers. So there's still a lot of infrastructure that's happening.
Correct. Yeah, that's why I still live in Playa, right? You've got Home Depot, you've got Sam's Club and stuff, and there's more and more shopping and infrastructure coming to Tulum, but it's going to take a little bit longer. And I would say last but not least, the big projects, the big infrastructure projects, federal projects that are going to be built in the Riviera Maya. So Tulum has two major projects. The main one is the Maya train, which is the entire Yucatan Peninsula. And Tulum is going to have a station as well as Playa del Carmen and a lot of other cities. And Tulum has the airport coming up. It is going to be international, and I've got the numbers, I can share it with them. But yeah, I believe they will have to finish construction by 2023.
Also, there's different types of properties. There's land, there's condominiums. What are some of the prices? What are land prices like in Tulum?
Okay, well right now, for example, this is a commercial lot behind us here, mixed use. It's running roughly about $1,000 a square meter, and there's about 80 square meters here, right? And then you have residential, which is roughly about $550 to $600 per square meter. That's pre-construction. This is just for the land, but it comes with all the services. And what I mean by services is electricity, Wi-Fi, fiber optic, you know, for the digital nomads, sewage, stuff like that. So it comes turnkey. This is the land, and you build.
And Playa del Carmen, not a lot of land, but are people buying outside near Playa, or what are prices like in Playa del Carmen?
In Playa del Carmen is roughly about the same price. It just depends on how far away you are from the beach. If you're close to the beach, you're looking at, like, there's some pieces of land that are about 4,000 square meters that are near their hotel zone on the other side by Cocoa Beach area, and they're running between $1,300 to $1,500 a square meter. Okay, so that's for like the 1.2, $1.5 million properties. If you start looking towards, maybe Real Ibiza, which are the neighborhoods over there by the Plaza Las Americas, on the other side, we call it Ejido, you're going to have small places to buy or land to buy, but it's undeveloped. It does not have services.
As far as services go in buildings, Playa has larger condo buildings and there's a little bit more, and Tulum is more smaller scale. if someone's not familiar with real estate in Riviera Maya, what type of services or perks or public spaces in the building itself can they expect between Playa or Tulum?
Common areas like the pool area, you're gonna have a gym. A newer concept that's kind of coming out recently with new developers is you have a third party manning your pool bar. So some of these condo developers, what they're doing now is they're gonna have another company running the bar. At your rooftop pool, when you get to your condo, you're gonna have a waiter, you're gonna have a bartender, there's gonna be the alcohol there, and your maintenance fees that you're paying cover the costs for this. Now there's gonna be extra costs obviously for alcohol and stuff like that, but they come with those kind of services. You're gonna have more outside green areas in Tulum that you do in Playa. In Tulum, it's designed around the ecosystem, right? And that naturaleza, the fauna of Tulum, and having bike trails and not as many cars and bicycles and stuff like that.
And of course, with a lot of changes, a lot of development, people ask about sustainability. So that's what we're going to talk about next, because as soon as we start talking about development, people say, oh, you're destroying the jungle, those things. And that is a concern to everybody that lives here, that has been here their whole lives or recently. As far as Tulum goes, what are some things that is being done to build Tulum sustainably?
Okay, so first of all, the city of Tulum is nested right in between two national parks, okay? Two protected areas. So you've got the Archaeological Site National Park, and that was just expanded by the president, and it was actually rebranded. Now it's called El Parque Nacional del Jaguar, so the Jaguars National Park, and they added, I believe it's 1,000 hectares, okay, to protect it and to protect the environment of the jaguar.
So that's on the north end.
That's on the north end, correct.
South end.
And on the south end, you've got the World Heritage Site, UNESCO World Heritage Site of Chiang Mai, correct. So in between those two parks, you've got the development. Now, to have sustainable development, you need to have a balance in three main, let's say, pillars. Okay, you need to have balance between the social, economic, and environmental.
Like development.
Yeah.
One of the cool thing is Tulum is going to become more of a community. You don't want to build just a bedroom community. They're building green schools, or the Valley Green School, which is international school for families.
Yes.
So it creates more of a family structure or infrastructure for building a community in Tulum. So it's not just a place people go and take Instagram pictures. And then some of the other pillars of sustainability are what?
Economic, so you need to give people that live here in Tulum some way for them to make ends meet. So if you don't teach them how to do tourism or take people on tours, at the end of the day, if you set a national park and people don't have money to eat and to provide for their families, eventually they're gonna make a way, and probably they're going to cut down trees and sell the wood or do something with the wildlife there. So what you want to give is you want to teach people how to have this economic growth and how to be able to provide for their families and have social programs. So like you just mentioned, building a community, which is something very important for Tulum, because there are not a lot of people living full-time in Tulum. There are a lot of short-term rentals. There's a lot of people that come down and vacation and go to beach clubs. But eventually there's going to be more people living here full-time. So.
And 15 years ago, it was mostly locals, fishermen, people just living here, and there wasn't the GDP to actually do infrastructure projects like sewers and things. But now with that investment coming into Tulum, the city is actually expanding into really lower income areas to provide services. So that does help. Of course, there's no magic bullet, but everybody's kind of working together and has a kind of a common goal to make Tulum a very sustainable place. This was how Tulum was developing until outside investment came into the Tulum area. It wasn't sustainable, and so Tulum is in a really good place now where there's a lot of investment coming in, and so the city can actually improve infrastructure for everyone. Most people that are looking at Tulum, they're cautious because they love the green, they love the jungle, they love the vibe, but they don't want to see it overbuilt. What is making Tulum sustainable as far as the development that's going on right now?
Well, here's one of the biggest differences between Playa and Tulum is the amount of use per square meter of construction that you have being done in most of the pieces of land down here. I like to say that Playa learned from Cancun's mistakes and not building skyscrapers, even though we're slowly getting bigger permits to start building higher and higher. But there's things that were in Playa, you have buildings going to the easement as much as possible with a sidewalk there. You're building everything. Versus here in Tulum, there's some developments that are only building 30%. 30% of the land that they're building with developments and condos, and they still cost the same amount of money. You're not saving money because they're building less. What they're doing is they're leaving the trees, they're leaving the grass, they're leaving the opportunity to have the fauna and the natural, around the area. And in Tulum right now, you've got condos that are 3 or 4 floors, and they have more outside experiences. I guess the best way I can give it to you is people aren't just buying the land, and they're buying for what it's worth monetary wise. They're buying the value that it brings to the ecosystem, the value it brings to their experience on being within Tulum. That's the value add. And some of the slogans that I've gotten from different developers and that I've been hearing a lot is, when you get to Tulum, to these new developments, you're disconnecting from the outside world and you're entering Tulum. And in Tulum, the idea will be to leave your gas-powered cars, to leave the busyness and the stress of the real world and disconnect into the electrical, sustainable world of Tulum.
Because you have some really good inside information about that.
Mm-hmm.
There's parts of Tulum that are just being developed. What are some of the things that are already planned for those areas?
Okay, we're planning on changing one of the main roads, which is Coba. There's 2 main roads in Tulum right now. It's Cuculcan and Coba.
Going to the beach.
They go to the beach, okay? And Coba is the entrance of Aldea Zama and a new development called 101. And Coba is like a highway right now. It's just full of traffic. It takes from the street on the corner of the highway to come down, it could take you 45 minutes to an hour to go 6 kilometers. It's unbelievable. So what we're trying to do right now is change the texture of the pavement. Take the pavement away and start putting rocks and trees in the middle of the road and sidewalks and fauna. And there is one development in particular that has relationships. They have a bunch of land within Aldea Zama, and they're not looking at selling the land. What they're doing is they're looking to become partners with developers with the same vision of creating a zen, creating a place where you are literally leaving your car parked in a parking lot, and when you leave your car there, you are disconnecting, and you're going to start riding around in electrical scooters, in golf carts, and non-gas powered vehicles. And they're going to have co-working, co-networking. They're going to have an orchard inside the development, and they're not here just to sell land. These guys are actually trying to build something that's part of what we all want now, which is not destroy the fauna, not just putting pavement and buildings. Leave trees, leave fauna, plant an orchard, plant trees, replant trees. I mean, it's super cool. It's super cool. I'm
As
excited.
far as the hotel zone, if you've been to the hotel zone, it gets very busy because there's only 2 lanes of traffic and everybody's trying to get to their hotels.
Mm-hmm.
There's plans for there as well?
They're in plans right now, already working with the government, the local government, working with the syndicate of taxis, basically the union of taxis as well, to where we want to set up to where it's no longer going to be a bunch of gas-powered vehicles down there. It's going to be golf carts, electrical cars. So right now, it's not sustainable. It's not sustainable, the amount of traffic, the amount of people coming down right now.
There's some
And
parking.
it's impossible. It's impossible to continue going the way we're
It's
going
too
right now.
popular.
It is, and it's not a bad thing. It's good for investors, but what the bad thing is, it's just not thought out. They didn't think of the boom, right? So we're rebuilding.
Yeah, in the past 10 years. I mean, if you haven't been here in 10 years, you wouldn't recognize Tulum.
Yep.
As a realtor, as an investor, as a resident of this area, and as a property developer, it's in everyone's best interest to keep this place, because what people love about Tulum is the jungle, right? It's nature, to connect with nature. So if you take that away, then who's going to want to come to Tulum? So there's a lot of challenges going on right now in different areas of the city. However, I believe that as a community, we're able to overcome those challenges.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. A lot of people say, oh, we don't want to see Tulum grow too much. But they're sitting in air-conditioned apartments in other parts of the world that have been developed, and there's not much nature except for a few parks. And Tulum is like an architectural playground of a lot of architects that want to challenge themselves to be sustainable, to do rainwater collection, to do solar panels, to do a lot of green spaces. And of course, one of the things nice in Tulum is there's regulated green spaces. When you build, you have to leave so many trees, and a lot of places you see it. They build the sidewalk around the trees. Even here, in this beautiful villa, there's a lot of green spaces which are part of the villa, which make it kind of the outdoor, indoor living, kind of environment. There is a Tulum style that is very green and feels good.
The people that are coming here and they're staying here obviously want to protect and preserve the jungle. So if they're purchasing and investing in properties, the first questions that we're being asked, and also we're teaching investors this is to ask if the project has sewer, if they have water, if they have a water treatment system, right? What kind of sustainability technology features do the projects have? That's something that everyone is interested in having in the projects. People are asking for this, and projects that don't leave any green areas don't sell as well as projects that leave that have a lower population density and do leave a lot of green areas. And I'm not talking about just basically clearing the entire lot, building an underground parking space, and then putting concrete on top, and then doing landscaping.
Plants. That's it.
Putting a few plants. I mean, actually leaving the jungle and the flora and fauna of this geographical place.
And that's a really important thing for people coming to invest in the area or coming to live here, is you want to work with real estate agents that actually research developers so they know what they're doing a good job, or they're cutting corners and actually doing something that is good or bad for Tulum. And of course, it is up to the people that come here as tourists, because let's be honest, there's a lot of people that come to party, and there's a lot of electronic music festivals, which doesn't do anything for nature. But it's up to all of us that travel and also come to live to help out the sustainability of Tulum.
Yeah, I agree. There has to be specific places for people to rave and to have fun and parties, but controlled hours. And I believe people that come to Tulum want to have that more relaxed approach, connecting with nature, like I mentioned, and not just the party scene, the party life, which there's a lot of people that like it as well.
It's all about finding a balance between everything. And there's going to be growing pains, because both Playa del Carmen is growing, Tulum is growing, the Riviera Maya is growing. It is a place that is almost like a filter, a funnel, basically. And there's not a lot of places in Mexico people can go and buy on the beach or live close to the beach, even though there's a lot of coastline. And there's Europeans coming, there's Canadians, there's Americans. So a lot of people come here because it's a similar lifestyle that they're searching for.
Yeah.
We're here in Aldea Zama. This is one of the neighborhoods of Tulum. Now we want to ask Alberto, what makes this a sustainable neighborhood?
Sustainability comes from not just the community, but and tourism, but also the developers who's building it here, right? And the idea behind Aldea Zama is to create a new city, a new Tulum. The new Tulum is what they're calling it for a long time, where you have fauna, you have less traffic, you have less circulation of traffic. As you can tell right here, this is a pedestrian walkway. They're calling this the new Fifth Avenue, quote unquote, right? Where you're gonna have commercial buildings here. But these buildings all have a certain criteria that they need to meet based on height and type of use that they can have, whether it be residential or commercial. And so we can't just build 8 stories here. Maximum is 3 floors that you're gonna have here on this Fifth Avenue. And it goes from the commercial area down there, where you're gonna have restaurants and bars and and whatnot. And all this sidewalk goes down. You'll see different restaurants that have already been here since the beginning, including our real estate offices here on the same street.
Yeah, it's really nice. You park your car and then you walk. You go to the restaurants, and it's much more of a walkable neighborhood. And so this is the new style of Tulum as part of the new sustainability that makes it a better place.
Yep.
So if you would like to talk to Sebastian, because you see in this video, he's very knowledgeable about the area, we're going to have an article with all this information, plus a lot more, some of the screenshots of AirDNA and everything. We will have an email link for Sebastian, so you can contact him and his team if you want to move to the area, or if you're looking to invest in the area, as well as the other people that appear in this video.
Thanks for watching our video about the differences between Playa del Carmen and Tulum for real estate. We know this was a long video, but there was so much good information we wanted to share with you. We want to put it all together for our readers. Be sure to check out our other videos about real estate and our articles online.